Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our virtual discussion on breaking barriers, women's cycling comfort, fit, and performance tips. We will be recording this session and share it with you afterwards. My name is Hyo Eun Shin, and I'm the manager of event operations for the Ride in Northern Pass to Conquer Cancer. I'd also like to introduce you to my colleague, Sophia Rossi, senior coordinator for Northern Pass. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today to carry the fire. We are so excited to dive into some important conversations about how to make cycling more comfortable and empowering for women of all levels. Our goal is to help you get ready and excited to ride comfortably for the Ride in Northern Pass to Conquer Cancer and in your training leading up to the events. We are so grateful for your commitment and dedication to fundraise and participate in these signature Princess Margaret events. While each of you have your own reason for riding, we're all headed towards the same goal: to create a world free from the fear of cancer.
Thanks, Yoni. Carry the Fire is a rallying cry for every one of us touched by cancer. And sadly, almost every one of us is touched by cancer. 2 in 5 Canadians will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime, and cancer is the leading cause of death in Canada, men or women. But there is reason for hope. In the 1940s, only 25% of Canadians diagnosed with cancer survived. And that's if you were lucky. If you were elderly in the 1940s with cancer, you may not have been treated at all. Fast forward to the 1980s, and 50% of Canadians diagnosed with cancer survived. Today, the 5-year net survival rate for all cancers combined stands at 63%, with some cancers enjoying survival rates as high as 80 to 90%.
At the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation, we believe in the power of community, resilience, and pushing boundaries as we transform cancer outcomes. And just like in cycling, progress happens when we keep moving forward together. Tonight, we bring that same energy and passion to this discussion. We want to ensure that all women feel strong and have the confidence, knowledge, and support to prepare for the big Ride in Northern Pass events. Together, let's carry the fire. So tonight, this is our agenda and what we're going to be covering. We'll start off with a quick discussion on apparel and gear choice for women. The important topic of saddle sores and chafing, pad versus tampon and what to do on event day, menopause and training through it, how to do a quick bike check, training basics, skills practice and strength, nutrition 101, event day checklists and tips, and we'll finish off with a Q&A. But if you do have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat or raise your virtual hand, and we can answer as we go along as well. And then to wrap up, we're going to do a random prize draw and share some promos for you. Now, I'd like to introduce you to our guest speakers. Molly Hurford is an accomplished author and sports and nutrition journalist in love with all things cycling, running, nutrition, and movement related. When not outside, she's writing about being outside or interviewing other athletes. She's passionate on getting people, especially women, psyched on outdoor adventures. Molly is the co-host of the weekly Consummate Athlete podcast with her husband and cycling coach, Peter Glassford. She has written multiple fiction and nonfiction books, including the Shred Girl series, Fuel Your Ride, and Saddle Sore, Ride Comfortable, Ride Happy, which we will be doing a prize draw at the end of the talk. Most recently, she founded Strong Girl Publishing to tell more stories of young girls in sport, all written by young female athletes. Molly contributes regularly to Bicycling Magazine, Canadian Cycling, Outside, and Canadian Running, and hosts talks and clinics on running and cycling all over North America. We also have Karen Duff, who is an accomplished endurance cyclist and all-around sports fanatic. She has participated in the ride 5 times, so she has the 5-year milestone helmet. She works with Skratch Labs Canada as a training coordinator, offering product knowledge and the importance of proper fueling for training and racing and riding. Karen is also a certified personal fitness trainer, where she provides functional fitness workout programs that include HIIT, weights, and core. She is passionate about helping women thrive with the changes associated with menopause. As so many women battle through this stage of life, Karen offers solid guidance and support to help lead a healthy and active life regardless. Having been through menopause, Karen understands the challenges associated with maintaining sanity and strength and strives to inspire women that it is indeed possible to reach the summit of the menopausal mountain while enjoying the ride. So she will certainly bring a unique perspective to this talk. Now, without further ado, over to you, Molly.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to just pre-apologize for the fact that my dog is being very huffy today. So sorry about that. He's small but mighty. But anyway, let's get on with our talk. I'm always so excited to get to talk to women when it comes to all things cycling, because a lot of us come to cycling through men in our lives, whether it's dads that got us into it, partners that got us into it, even just friends. And that was the case for me. I was on a great collegiate cycling team and I was the only girl. And I remember, the first time they gave me a pair of bike shorts, no one explained bike shorts to me. They just kind of assumed that I would understand it. The saddle that the team all rode, they just handed me and kind of assumed like, oh, this will probably work for you. But the fact is, we are women. We are not small men, as the saying goes. And also, we are not Barbies. I bring this up because, one of my top topics that I love chatting about is comfort on the bike. And it's awkward. It makes me a little uncomfortable, a little blushy to even, bring it up. But it's so important because so many women I've talked to end up leaving cycling because it's just uncomfortable for them. They deal with chafing, saddle sores. They just don't even understand that being numb in their nether regions during a ride is something that's completely preventable. But a lot of the time, the cycling industry and, that 17-year-old boy that's working in the bike shop that's telling you how to fit your bike to you, they just kind of think of us as being Barbies. And by that, I mean, you remember having Barbies as a kid, you take off their pants and it's just flat there. But we are not. We have nether regions and we can find stuff that makes us more comfortable on the bike. So that's this thing that I just always want to bring up and kind of bring that awkward discussion to the forefront. So that's what we're going to kind of open with here. And then I promise we're going to get into the training and nutrition, but I do think this is just such an important topic that we don't talk about enough, especially not with newer cyclists who just maybe don't even know to ask the questions. Okay, but before we head south, I want to talk about breathing issues on the bike. This is a really big one that I've now heard from a lot of women, all ages, when they're leaned over on the bike, they just struggle to breathe. And I was trying to kind of troubleshoot it for a couple of girls on a camp. And I started realizing, I'm like, okay, well, maybe unzip your jacket. Okay, maybe unzip your jersey. Okay, the problem is we're all wearing so many layers. You're wearing a compressive sports bra. You're wearing a heart rate strap. You're maybe wearing a base layer. This is Canada. It's chilly. We're probably wearing a long sleeve jersey over our base layer. Over that, we're wearing a vest, a jacket, maybe even another one. We're so compressed and then we're bending over. And our breathing is basically cut off. So I really do just kind of always say, if you're struggling to get in enough air, you should be able to take a full belly breath on the bike and feel completely comfortable doing it. So that means really, hand on your belly, feel it expand. If you can't let your belly expand, if you can't let your lungs expand, you need to go up a size or lose a layer. There's, in cycling kit in particular, the number on the kit doesn't matter. Cycling kit sizes are horrific. They're different from brand to brand. So do not fall into, oh, I only ever wear a medium. I have been an XXL in some sizing, and I have been an extra small in other sizing. So before we get into talking about kit, just recognize that the numbers, they don't matter. It's going to vary from brand to brand. Okay. Let's talk saddles. This is my number one favorite slide of all time. Saddles don't actually look like this, but sometimes they feel like this. I'm sure, most people on this call have been on at least one ride that maybe went like a little too long, or maybe the bike was new and you weren't totally used to the saddle, or maybe this is your everyday experience where we're going out for a ride. And after, maybe 30 minutes, you just start feeling that pressure, that numbness, that little scratch, that little bit of chafing, maybe like a little pressure point somewhere. And all of those are really good signs that the saddle that you're using just isn't right for you. And this is not your fault. Most of the bikes, bikes come with a stock saddle, and we assume that that saddle fits us. But that saddle is just kind of for what they expect will fit most riders. The problem is women have such variance in our sit bone width. And we tend to think that a wider saddle, so the saddles that are like bigger in the back area, we tend to think of those as being like the more comfortable ones, the more comfort oriented ones, but that's not always the case depending on how wide your sit bones are. And I always like to explain your sit bone width has nothing to do with your size. Absolutely nothing. I am a fairly small human. My dad is a fairly large human. My dad is 6 foot tall, 300 plus pounds, loves the bike, fantastic cyclist. His sit bones are smaller than mine. Therefore, his saddle is way narrower than mine. My saddle is a little bit wider because my sit bones are a little bit wider. So if you're feeling uncomfortable on the saddle, if you feel as though you're kind of like, where I put this, your nether regions are sort of compressing inward a little bit, like everything is getting kind of shoved into the saddle, that's a good sign that your saddle's too big. If your saddle feels too small, you're going to feel like you're wobbling every single time you pedal. What we're looking for is for our sit bone to sit firmly on the back of our saddle. We feel completely comfortable. We shouldn't have to punch ourselves forward, trying to change where the pressure is, trying to alleviate, pressure on the back of our hips, back of our bums. We should be just comfortable in a nice neutral position. If you're hearing this and you're like, ooh, yeah, my saddle might not be right for me, head to your local bike shop, talk to them, ask if they can do a sit bone measurement. I'm going to say it. There's this great thing. If you just say the assometer, they'll know what you're talking about. It's a great little sand pad, basically, that you sit down, you go like this, and then it shows where your sit bones are, and they can measure it and give you, here's kind of the range of saddles that's going to be right for you. I cannot recommend doing this enough. This is going to so improve your comfort on the bike if you can just find a saddle that works for you. Some women really like a cutout saddle. Some women kind of prefer not having one. That, unfortunately, is just going to be personal preference. So it's always best to look for if a saddle has a return policy. A lot of them do have like a 30-day policy. Some shops even will lend you saddles. They have saddle libraries. So really take the time to find the saddle that's right for you, and don't accept a bad saddle. Don't accept that, oh, I just always go numb after an hour on the bike. We deserve to be comfortable on the bike. We deserve to have a good ride. And honestly, if you can find the saddle that's right for you, if you can get your seat height adjusted to the appropriate seat height for you, you're going to go faster. I think that's like the other key here is it's not just that it's making you uncomfortable, it's also hurting your ability to put out power as best you can. If every time you're doing a pedal stroke, it's hurting, guess what? You're less likely to be pedaling harder and harder and getting up those hills faster and faster. So it's not just about the saddle, it's about the entire ride. And it starts with the saddle. It's the most important touch point. Okay, let's talk shorts. Okay, point number one. We do not wear underwear with our bike shorts. This is something that no one told me for a couple years. So I was, this young rider who, started riding just wearing my, gym shorts, running shorts, whatever. And then I got a pair of cycling shorts. And when I say cycling shorts, I don't mean the bike shorts that you can buy that are like fashion right now. I mean the shorts that actually have a chamois in them. The chamois is like the, foam pad that sits in the shorts and makes everything a lot more comfortable. It helps fight friction. It helps trap sweat and other gross bacteria stuff that I will not go into in too much depth here because I do not want you all to leave just being like, ugh, cycling's disgusting. It's fine. It's all good. But I highly recommend finding a pair of shorts that fits really well, feels really comfortable. And I personally love bib shorts. I always talk about this with women because at bike shops, a lot of bike shops do not stock bib shorts for women because they just don't think that there's as much demand. Bib shorts are like a little bit higher end. They tend to be a titch more expensive than regular shorts. They're so much more comfortable. You will love them. It will be the best change that you ever make. That's because, like, let's talk comfort. Like I was saying about the, breathing issues. If you're wearing bike shorts that have a tight waistband that's cutting right into your midsection and then you're bending over with that digging in, it's so uncomfortable compared to bib shorts, which just go right up. Ooh, I see we have a hand raised.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, sorry. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I tried on bib shorts last year. And maybe the sizing was wrong, but I found that they really dug into my shoulders. And I remember thinking, hey, my bra is enough of a barrier as it is. And so I opted not. But maybe, I don't know if you could maybe speak a little bit more to it's you're selling it, like you're saying that they're great, but how did you overcome like kind of that awkward tightness on your shoulders?
Yeah, that is a great point. And especially if you are a taller rider, definitely some brands are going to have straps that are just a little bit pressier.
Yeah.
I would say it's definitely worth investigating other brands because
Okay.
I've definitely had some where, yeah, they feel a little too short. Even just the front part feels a little awkward or tight.
Yeah.
And then some feel much more like just really casual suspenders that don't really have much of they have plenty of give to them. But definitely try on a couple other pairs because I swear to you, if you find the right pair, it will be a game changer.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. We have another hand raised.
Hi, Molly.
Hi.
Thank you very much for doing this. First question. So for women who are shorter, perhaps the bib shorts would be okay, but if you are very heavily endowed, then you have more pressure on those little shoulders. So that's one question. And the second question is that I've always felt tremendous discomfort around the thigh area because that short is tucking so tightly on my upper thighs that I almost feel like sitting on the bike for like a long ride, such as RTCC. My blood is no longer going to the upper body, especially.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, get rid of the shorts. I'm fine without the shorts. I'll just wear, regular pants and bike this 200-kilometer thing.
Oh my gosh. I completely understand where you are coming from. I mean, honestly, at every size, there are issues with bib shorts being too tight, or any shorts really having that like really tight band in the thigh. And again, this is where like the trying on makes all of the difference. There are a couple brands, Terry bicycles comes to mind, that do actual genuine like curvier bib shorts that are actually made for women who are in fact more well endowed, which is, so they're not just like, oh, here's like the 3XL. They're actually built for women who have curves. So definitely don't just rely on the brand that your local bike shop has in stock, because often those tend to be either like the cheaper ones or it's just one random brand, and odds are pretty good that they haven't actually had a woman in the shop say, this is the good brand, get these. So it is some trial and error. I will also say, I will throw my email into, my email's in the last slide. So if you want some actual, just like kind of a couple of recommendations, feel free to email me and I will send you kind of the ones that I've seen, people have the best luck with, because yeah, it totally depends on your size and your shape. And luckily I've talked to a lot of women cyclists and know which brands work for which type of rider. So feel free to bother me for specifics for sure.
Thank
that
you,
actually,
Molly.
yeah, of course.
Just a very quick follow-up there. So
Yeah.
are your shorts supposed to sit comfortably on your thighs, or are they supposed to be like very tucked in so that the air cannot get through?
Oh no. Okay. So we want them to sit on our thighs, but in the way like you would wear leggings. tights, where you don't want them squeezing you and feeling like your legs are in a sausage casing, just that there's not like flapping around. So a fit, or they should be fitted like tights, but they shouldn't feel compressive at all. I find, the tendency, especially for, again, women who've been, we've been taught to go for the smallest size that fits us. We've been taught that we are this certain size. Cycling kit, like I said, terrible for sizing. Just do not trust it. We're looking for comfortable, not compressive. Because it starts getting really uncomfortable to pedal if you feel like something is just suctioning you in, for sure. This is not Spanx, this is not shapewear. It's probably the best way to put it.
Because they have this sticky thing in the inner side, right? On the hem. Yeah.
Yep. So when you put that on, a good way to tell is if it looks like it's like squeezing in and suctioning, that's too tight. We want it to be touching you, but not, we shouldn't see a line into your flesh. That means it's too tight. And again, that is not like a thing about you. That is just a thing that those shorts may not fit, and they might fit everywhere else, but that part doesn't work. And that's okay. We find another brand that has better shorts for you.
Thank you, Molly.
Yeah. This is making me think I need to do an article that actually has kind of like a scheme of the best shorts for different riders.
There is just one more question in the chat, but we do
I
have a
love
lot
this.
to cover.
We do so much to cover.
So Denise, if we can just hold that question to the Q&A and we'll come right back to you.
Perfect. And I promise, if anyone has any further questions, I can talk shorts all day, so email me after this. Okay. Now, here's the one you might want to screenshot. We will provide a recording after this and everything, but if you have the capability, I'd recommend screenshotting this because this is my what to wear matrix. I'm not going to go through it all because, again, we want to get through a lot of stuff. But this is just the easiest kind of like grid for what you want to think about wearing, especially on ride day when you're going to be out for a while. So yeah, screenshot this, use it later. We'll also have it, in the recording. And we have it over on my website at consummateathlete.com, but I wanted to just put this up so everyone had a chance.
I'll share the slides as well.
Beautiful. Okay, saddle sores, skin issues. Yeah, I'm going to keep this brief because, again, I could talk about this all day, but we have a lot to get through. So, saddle sores, we should not have them. If you've never had a saddle sore, or you're not sure if you've had a saddle sore, basically, if you have had a pimple, a boil, any kind of open wound type situation in your nether region area, usually it tends to be in one of the creases. This is not normal. This means that something is going on, whether it's our shorts aren't fitting right and are chafing us in a weird way. Maybe it is that you're wearing underwear with your bike shorts and that's actually causing more friction. Basically, when we ride, if we think about pressing our nether regions on the saddle and going like this thousands of times, we are creating little tiny micro tears in our skin. And if bacteria gets in, we end up with these lovely saddle sores. They're very treatable. It's not a big deal. We just want to deal with them with chafing in two ways. One, we want to get clean, we want to get dry. So this means maybe wear a maxi skirt for a day, keep things breezy. And two, we want to treat it the same way we would treat any kind of minor cut, polysporin. If it is more of a pimple kind of situation, this is where you can use basically an over-the-counter kind of pimple medication. Works wonders. If it's not going away, if you have a rash that's not going away, if you get a fever, go to your doctor. Do not let these things continue. End of story. Done, cut, print. That means it's serious. I have met a lot of cyclists in the pro field who couldn't take time off to deal with a saddle sore and ended up in a hospital because of it. So we don't want that to happen to you. We want you to be riding for a very long time. And if that means one day off the bike to let everything work itself out, we take that one day off. Okay. The other debate is always pad versus tampon. I'm going to add versus menstrual cup and what we want to do on our ride day. First of all, don't worry, we have you covered. On all of the rides, we have pads and tampons available at the aid stations. Hooray! shockingly few races have this, so I'm just a huge round of applause for the fact that we have this. That said, tampon is probably your best bet. I understand that some women can't use them, won't use them. In that case, do what you got to do with a pad. Or if you have a light enough flow, I'm just going to say it, get dark shorts. Don't worry about it. It's fine. But tampon, menstrual cup, those are going to be your better bets for on the bike. Only because, again, pad, similar to underwear, we're going to have that weird chafing, going to have some rubbing. It's going to be awkward. And yeah, just kind of be aware if you know your period is coming prior to ride day, then just be, ready for it, understand that it's going to happen, but also recognize that just because you have your period does not mean you are going to ride any slower, there's been lots of talk about how we train with our menstrual cycle, and that's fantastic. But I think one thing that it ignores is that ride day does not care what day it is in your cycle. So I always tell people we can perform at our absolute optimal when we're on our periods. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's just all part of the fun of cycling. Until it's not, which is where I'm going to ask Karen to kind of just speak a little bit towards the menopause side of things, just a little bit about some considerations that women who are entering that phase of life should be thinking about when it comes to their comfort, especially, and also a little bit about their training. Karen, over to you.
Hi, ladies. Thanks for joining us this evening. This is awesome. I just wanted to share a little bit about my personal experience with going through, perimenopause, menopause, and obviously, and through training and cycling and competing. I guess I'll say I'm fortunate enough to be through peri and through menopause and on the other side of it at this point. Yay. It can be a little bit rough and up and down, but and everyone goes through, everyone's symptoms are different. And I think at that point, as athletes or trying to stay active, you just have to try and embrace those changes as best you can, and everyone's symptoms are different. But a couple of things that kept me going was, you could experience, sleep deprivation, or not deprivation, but sleep issues and other hormonal changes going on. But the key thing is to maintain being active. So if obviously we're talking specifically about cycling, so stay riding on the bike, keep moving. And if you're doing your training, try and change it up. Try and still challenge your body in a way, and instead of just doing zone 2 rides, add a few pickups and intervals in there when you're out on the road. Try and kickstart that metabolism as those changes are happening in your body. So you can think of, say you're out riding nice country road, maybe pick it up for 20, 30 seconds and then take, 30 seconds or a minute off, kind of change up your training a bit. Another thing, strength training as you're going through perimenopause, menopause, very, very crucial as our body's going through changes and, muscle loss. If you could add, and I'm going to touch on strength training a little bit more, so I'll just keep this brief, but that's very important as to when you're going through peri and menopause to maintain your workouts, even if it's 2 times a week at 30 minutes a session, will be great. And another thing, protein intake. So increasing your protein and depending on how active you are, right, 1.2 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. I usually try and go on the upper end. So as we're going through those changes, body requires more protein because we want to maintain that muscle mass. I think that, but staying active, keep active during these changes. I know it can be difficult, but just stay on it.
Oh,
Molly?
Love it.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. I'm going to cue you back when we get into strength. But okay,
Yes.
Let's talk about the actual ride itself. Again, we're going to have the slides sent to you, so you can always grab this later, but before you head out on the bike, especially, as we're kind of transitioning off the indoor trainer to the outdoor trainer, just want to make sure that everyone, when they are getting out, is doing just a quick bike check. Make sure your tires have air. Again, this is something no one told me about. And I once did a race with 10 PSI in my tires, which is a very low number for a road bike. So if you're not sure what your tires should be, do a quick Google on, the type of bike you have, what your tire pressure should be. You can check that with your pump. Definitely check that. Make sure your wheels are spinning. Make sure your brakes aren't just like slamming on to your tires. Make sure the brakes are actually working. Also very important. Make sure your shifters are working. You can go through all your gears. If you are using electric shifters, make sure they're charged. This is a big one for as we get back to riding outdoors in Canada. A lot of us have not charged our bikes all season. And I have seen way too many early season races with people just on the side of the road looking devastated because their electronic shifting is dead and they are now in the worst possible gear for the rest of the race. And of course, computers charged, phones charged, whatever has like the route map or your ability to check where you're at. Tools for the road. We want to have a multi-tool. We want to have tube, patches, tampon. I know we're going to have them at the aid stations, but personally, I like carrying a tampon because you never know if you're going to save your own day or someone else's. So it's a nice thing to have when you are out, whether you're doing your own training ride or at, a race day or ride day, as it were. And especially if you're in more rural Ontario, always a good idea to have a few bucks in your pocket, just because sometimes you run into a place where they don't take cards or the card reader's down. So keep that in mind when you head out. Okay, now we're talking training. So we have a few kind of key points here. The number one thing is consistency. So this means that we want to train more days rather than the traditional like weekend warrior thing that frankly, I'm going to say more guys do than women. We tend to be a little smarter. I'm just going to give ourselves a pat on the back for that. But, you go out, you do this monster ride on Saturday, and then you are exhausted Sunday through Wednesday. You start feeling a little better by Thursday. You go out for your monster ride on Saturday. You're exhausted for the week. Think small bite-sized rides, maybe a little longer on the weekends. That's fantastic. But really, we want to be aiming for more days on the bike. And days on the bike, that can be a 30-minute spin on the indoor trainer. Heck, that can be a 15-minute spin on the indoor trainer if that's what you have time for. That is so much better than nothing. And Karen's point about the movement just being kind of an important part of getting through perimenopause, menopause, that's important anytime. And just that little bit of consistency really gets that flywheel turning, gets you starting to feel like you are a cyclist, like you are an athlete, which you are. If you're on this call, you are. So really thinking about, oh crap, I don't have time today. Oh, it's a little late, whatever. Hop on the bike for 10 minutes, still counts. When we are training, and we do have a 3-month plan that will be available to you, so you can kind of get going on it if you want to kind of be a little bit more structured. If you don't want to be more structured, just remember the phrase high, low, off, where one day we're doing, as Karen said, maybe just a few pickups. Maybe we're just, going hard for 30 seconds, 1 minute, 5 times in a ride. Doesn't have to be fancy. Then the next day, we're just taking it a little easy, or maybe going a little longer. Maybe if our, high ride, our harder ride was 40 minutes, maybe on our low day where we're just going nice and casual pace, we're going for an hour, maybe an hour 15. And then we're taking a rest day. And rest day could be some strength, could be some yoga, could be a walk, could be a rest day if you feel like you need it. And you should have one rest day where you don't do anything, or at least like you keep it very gentle during the week. Again, you're on this call, so you're probably a go-getter. You probably want to, crush everything, tick all the boxes, type A personality. I completely understand that. But we are not winning anything by training every single day. We do need those rest days to let our bodies recover. So think varying things. Don't just get on the bike and pedal at the same speed for 30 minutes every single day. I mean, doing that's better than nothing. But if we can add a little bit of intensity one day, a little bit longer the next day, and then take our nice easy day or add our strength, that's a recipe for success. The other recipe for success, skills practice. A lot of us, especially in Canada, we're training inside. We're doing a lot of our base miles on an indoor trainer at the gym, but we're on the bike indoors. Because of that, we tend to neglect the bike skills that we're going to need to be efficient and effective when we're actually out on the roads during these ride days. These days are really long. And the smarter you can be, the more skilled you can be on the bike, the easier the days are going to be. Now, I don't mean you need to do wheelies to the start line. Not saying that, but the ability to ride in a group, the ability to draft behind someone, that is going to be so helpful to you. And if you practice it before race day or ride day in this case, it's going to be so much less stressful when you are on that start line surrounded by people. So call a couple friends, meet up with them on a Saturday, do just a little bit of riding together, play around with like, oh, can I stay 6 inches behind you, a foot behind you, wherever I feel comfortable. We can do all of this extra work on the indoor trainer. We can smash out intervals. We can do hours and hours on there. But if we're having to basically come to a stop every time we're trying to go around a corner, we're expending a lot more energy than we need to. Same with, being able to clip in, get our feet clipped into the pedals on a bike that's outdoors. It feels a little different than clipping in when you're on the trainer. So not having ride day be the first day that you're doing any of these things really is going to pay off. And I believe there's going to be a training ride on May 3rd. I'll speak to that more later. It'll be all included afterwards. For anyone who is kind of new and a little bit, stressed about doing this, it's completely understandable. Bike skills can be really scary when you're first getting started. They're still intimidating to me sometimes, and I've been doing this for a while. So don't stress. You're not the only one who's feeling nervous about it. All right, Karen, I am going to turn strength over to you. Talk to us about what we need to be doing. What's our minimum effective dose here?
Okay, ladies. So in addition to, as Molly said, riding consistency and changing the riding pace and distances and intensities up, be great if you could add in, and it doesn't have to be complicated. It could be like 2 30-minute sessions a week. Now, in order to get the most bang for your buck, I would suggest Tabatas are a great strength training option. So you can combine say 2 strength movements. So Tabatas where you're working 20 seconds of effort, right? And then followed by 10 seconds of rest. 8 cycles of those works out to 4 minutes and 10 seconds of effort. Just for example, could be say squat press ups for 20 seconds. You get 10 seconds off. Then it could be going into, front lunges or, bent over rows or flies. So a combination. I know we can't really get into specifics, but think of Tabata work. That could be 20 on, 10 off. You could also go to 30 seconds on, 15 seconds off on there. I'm also part of the promo. So I teach online functional fitness workouts Wednesday and Friday mornings at 7 a.m. And you can join me for a free class if you'd like to try that out. In the future, you guys will just have to, Tioni will have the email address and you can contact me and I can set that up with you. We use Zoom as the platform for it. I train here in my basement in my studio, and that started during COVID, and I have a great following, including up to today. But and core strength. So into those strength sessions, you can incorporate some core movements, planks, mountain climbers, dead bugs, and again, I would love to talk more and more on strength, but I know we only have so much time. But if you'd like to join me for a session, I'd love to show you what it's all about.
Love it. And I mean, oh my gosh, planks, like if you actually think about what you're doing on the bike, with your arms, like you need that core strength, and planks are such good bang for your buck for getting that. So love it. Okay. And Karen, we are still on you. We are going to blast. We're going to blast through nutrition. So, this is one of the really scary things here, right? Like what to do pre-ride. So
Yeah.
what are we thinking? Ride morning.
Pre-ride. So I guess we're thinking in terms of the ride, and you're getting, say you're having your breakfast. So it kind of we'll talk about more breakfast items. So what time does your ride or your race or your event start? And now kind of work backwards. And it depends on how your digestive process is too, but I would recommend like 2 to 4 hours before you start. Like you just want to have a great balance of probably more heavier on the carb side, but carbs, fats, and proteins, and healthy fats. Not too much. So I've kind of got it down to, you can consume like 2 grams of carbs per kilogram of body weight. And then probably around 15 to 20 grams of protein. You don't want to go too heavy on the protein, and then some healthy fats on top of that. So that gives the body enough time to process that. It gets into your glycogen stores, so into your muscles. So when you do start riding, your glycogen stores are nicely topped up. So as the ride, progresses, and we'll get into during what you eat during the ride, but that will give you a good start to the day. Think of we have bagels there, oatmeal, toast, and peanut butter. Start sipping on your whatever hydration brand that you're having. Have your bottle there and start sipping that during breakfast. So you're kind of getting into already in that hydration part too. So that's and we'll get into specifically into hydration also. But just giving your body a good start before you get onto the bike. If you start, in calorie deficit, or it's going to affect your performance right off the bat, and you may not have any glycogen stores there. So we want to make sure you're topped up, ready to go. And as they decrease, we can fuel during the ride and keep them topped up. All right, Molly.
Love it. And I will note there is going to be breakfast available at the event. So if you if you have a specific thing that you want to eat that. But if you're if you're okay with eating kind of whatever, there is food available. Often I get asked about coffee, and I will say, know your digestive system, especially on colder weather rides. Those bib shorts, those bike shorts, they're a bit of a pain in the butt to get into the porta potties with. So know your pre-race pooping plan. Sorry, just going to be blunt. It's going to make you so much happier that I said that, because if you hadn't been thinking about it, now you are. All right. Let's talk sweat. Karen, can you kind of explain the importance of knowing about your sweat?
Okay, so a lot of people associate sweat with, it's I'm just losing water. I'll just drink water to replenish, what I'm sweating. But if you have a look, we break down our sweat drop a little bit more in detail, right? 90% of that sweat drop is sodium. The other parts of it, magnesium, sodium, potassium, calcium, making up those electrolytes that we're losing in our sweat as you're riding. So you want to replace what you're sweating out. Now, depending on what there is hydration on course, or maybe you've brought your own, but we want to kind of go on of replacing or drinking a bottle per hour as you're out there, right? And there'll be lots of aid stations to stop at to replenish that. So kind of going, 1 bottle per hour. You're going to have, so there's going to be, we're also going to have pickle juice. I think that was mentioned. It was at the ride on previous years. Apparently, some people, swear by it, that pickle juice helps with hydration and to prevent cramping, which is great. But yeah, I mean, you may find, depending on the temperature that day and how intense you're riding, right, it could add to the increase in sweat loss. So it's usually on a manufacturer's or on the brand that you have, it kind of gives a guideline as the average sweat loss of what an athlete is losing per hour. But if unless you've had a sweat rate loss test, but if you're a heavy sweater and it's super hot that day, and you might want to up that sodium that you're taking in your bottle, increase it. Yeah, so are we getting right
Perfect.
into, I'm just gonna add a few more things on hydration here. So it's so really super important, right? So if you dehydrate, right, it affects your performance, your muscle function. We want to keep those cells firing. So as we dehydrate, oh, there we go. Right, leads to poor decision making, poor performance. As we hydrate properly, it will help with recovery too at the end of your ride, that you're not dehydrated, or if anyone suffered like a dehydration headache maybe the next day after being out riding all day or not consumed enough electrolytes during the ride, it feels more or less like a hangover. Done it, been there. I'm sure we all have, and learned our lesson the hard way. Yeah, so super important to replace the sodium and the electrolytes that you're losing. Yeah, just go on one bottle per hour as you're out there, and stay hydrated, and your body will thank you at the end of the day and the next day too.
Oh yeah, definitely the next day. And a lot, like some of this is thinking about 2 days. So we really want to make sure that we are, really just maintaining that for sure.
Yeah,
And I mean, on that note.
Yeah, and set yourself up for success the next day.
Exactly.
And obviously we'll get into some recovery too, but yeah, what to eat during the ride. So I love it. There will be Skratch energy chews on course, and lots of other options. So as you've had that pre-fuel breakfast, your glycogen stores are topped up, feeling good, right? Those are eventually just like, we have to keep putting gas in our car to keep it going. We have to fuel our engine. If we don't fuel it, we're going to bonk, and performance is going to go down. You're going to get cramps. You're not going to feel well. You're going to get lethargic, and it will hit pretty quickly. So, my rule of thumb, and again, it could depend on intensity of how hard you're riding, but 90 minutes into the ride, start consuming some fuel options, and there'll be lots of rest stops. So as far as how much do you take? Well, my kind of go-to, or how I ballpark it is, so take your body weight in pounds. It's easier in pounds, and double that. Okay, say you're, just example, 135 pounds. So it's times that, 270. So, you could look at replacing 250 to 300 calories per hour as while you're out riding, to keep your glycogen stores topped up. If you want to do it in calories or carbs, that could be anywhere between 30 and 60 carbs per hour. Right, depends on body weight, intensity. All of those things come into play. Right, bananas, pretzels. There's going to be gels, cookies, simple carbs, easily digestible. So, and key point while you're out there, please consume very little protein. Let's say like 5 grams per hour. Too much protein into the system will definitely cause some GI distress, and will take the blood away from your muscles back into your stomach to help with that digestion. And we need the muscles into your legs and your arms and the rest of your body functioning. So very little protein. You can consume the protein at the end of the ride for recovery. But so
Perfect.
Just think of the rest stops, or have stuff into your pouch, in your jersey, to grab during the ride if you like to eat a little bit as you go, or half the calories at once, and then kind of just find a rhythm or a timing that works for you, to keep those fuel stores up.
There's a great question in the chat here. Do you recommend any low sugar chews or bars?
In low sugar. Well, for example, I'm going to go to Skratch Labs bars, because we do have one of the, as far as our bars, they contain about 7-8 grams of sugar in a bar, compared to most energy bars out there, which contain double or triple that. But again, you do need some sugars to give you fuel and energy. You don't have to have excessive amounts, but and changing it up, some sweet, some salty, some savory, changing up maybe as you're riding, kind of like, oh, I don't want to eat another banana, or I don't want to eat another gel. I want something different. And that different can be like, oh, that tastes so good. Okay, give me, just to change it up, and sometimes you get flavor or palate fatigue. So good to change those things up as you go. I can't.
Sugar is your friend when you're riding. When you're active, sugar is fuel. So you should definitely not be shy. Like don't opt for the no sugar fuel option, because the sugar is gonna like give you that quick hit of energy.
Right. And some people do shy away from it, right? They're like, well, I just don't want to consume the sugar, but you're burning it. It's your fuel, right? You're burning it as you go. It's like, right? It's rocket fuel. You want to keep your engine stoked, because the downside of that is just, it's not good. It's bonk. It's bonk time. And been there, done that too. Been dehydrated.
Yeah.
I've bonked.
I've
done it. I've learned my lesson. Never going there again.
We've got another great question. If carbs over fats, what's best?
I personally go carbs. That's going to give you
carbs.
Carbs are good.
Carbs are good. Fats
Carbs
good
are
too.
golden.
Fats are good too, but carbs are.
Yeah, more so heavier on the carb side, for sure.
Yes.
Like
unless there's like some kind of medical, like if there's like a, diabetes situation where, medically you've been advised to not slam a lot of sugar, then like obviously speak to your doctor, speak to a dietitian. But for the rest of us, definitely, lean into carbs on your ride. And I know we are so tight on time now, so I'm going to skip to our post-ride, my 30 seconds here, post-ride. Get the heck out of that chamois. Again, this is where saddle sores happen, is when we hang out in that sweaty, gross kit for too long after our ride. So take it off. Think Donald Duck. Have some snacks. We're going to talk about that in a second. Bike check, get it ready for the next day. And we want to do just a little bit of stretching, let that back release. There is some chance to do yoga. There's a good spot for it. There's some massage even available after day one of Ride to Conquer Cancer. So maybe take advantage of that. Just do what you got to do to feel good for the next day. And speaking of which, this is where we cannot stress enough the importance of recovery nutrition at the end of the day, especially when you have to go again the next day. So Karen, give us the quick hit. What do we need to know about recovery?
Quick hit on, so after all this training and your pre-ride fuel and during the ride, the recovery is super important, especially if you're riding the next day, and your body will thank you for it. So really important. There'll be lots of options there at the end of the ride on day one and day two. Kind of go to first if you can get a recovery shake in. So there'll be some recovery shake options where you can mix with whatever's on site. There might be milk or water, preferably within 30 minutes of finishing off the bike. That will just start that recovery process of rebuild, refuel, recovery, rehydrate too. There'll be sodium in there. It's there to, so there are those types of recovery drinks after a long ride. They're not heavy on protein. It's typically a 4-to-1 carb to protein ratio. So we want to top up those glycogen stores, get you recovered. This isn't a meal replacement. You'll still have your meal once you have your recovery drink. Get changed, get settled, then have your dinner that evening of a good balance of carbs, fats, protein, like a 40-30-30. So that will help prevent fatigue, muscle recovery, set you up feeling strong the next day when you start your ride too.
Perfect. And that's important every ride. This is not just on ride day. If you do a hard workout, if you do a long ride, this.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, ride day. Again, very quickly. We want to have a schedule of our events so we're not stressed out. I like writing all of this stuff out in like a Google Doc the night before based on the website. It just makes me feel better. Have your alarm set, triple check that. Have your gear set up, laid out, so you have everything you need. Know what you're having for breakfast. Have your bike plate and seat tag attached. You do not want to be running for those 5 minutes before the start. Very difficult. You want to get warmed up, and I don't mean you need to do like sprints or like a 20-minute thing. Just make sure your bike is pedaling okay. Again, check all those gears, make sure your brakes are working, all that fun stuff. And just get your body moving a little bit. You might need to hit the porta potty again. As I said, know when you're going to have to go pre-race. We want to make sure, you know, if we had breakfast 4 hours ago, maybe we want a quick little snack closer to the ride. And then we're going. And you know what? It's going to be so much fun. You know, we could talk all day about pre-race nerves or pre-ride nerves, but I promise you, you might be nervous, you know, as it's getting started, as that morning is going along. But the second you start pedaling with all of those people who are all there for the same reason you are going to feel so good and so excited to be there. So, all right. With that said, you can learn more. Again, we'll you know, send all this out. You can learn more, consummatathlete.com, stronggirlpublishing.com. Follow me. I'm easy. Feel free to email me with any questions if we don't cover them in the couple minutes of Q&A we're going to have time for. Yeah, I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet and love talking about this stuff all day, every day. Okay. How much time do we got?
We've got a few minutes, and then if everyone is okay to stay a little bit longer, we can, you know, no rush to just shut down right at 8 o'clock. But there was a question that came up earlier in the talk, and that is coming from Denise, and she's asking, are you just wearing a sports bra underneath? Is there chafing with that and those straps?
Oh, good question. Yeah, I just wear a sports bra underneath. I tend towards like a longer line sports bra or like more of a bralette. I don't really need a whole lot of compression or, you know, really any support, if I'm being totally honest. You wear that under the bibs. Again, if you're more well endowed, you might want to look for bibs that actually don't have that like netting. I know that picture I showed had like the bibs really have like a whole net here, but they have some that are just more suspenders, and you can actually have them kind of sit on the side of your chest rather than down the front if that's uncomfortable for you. So again, playing around with, you know, the different types and trying them on and seeing what works best for you. But yeah, sports bra under the bibs.
There was another question if you know of any women's cycling clubs or women-friendly cycling clubs in the GTA. So there were some answers in the chat. Jornella's Cycling Club is very women's friendly, and I believe they do have women's only rides as well. In the Whitby area, there's Bikes Plus. They do a ladies' ride on Wednesday evenings. And there is a cycling club out of Hyde Park called the Saddle Sisters. So if you go on Ontario Cycling, they do list a bunch, all the cycling clubs in Ontario, so you can find some there. But go to your local bike shop, ask them if they have a club or if they're aware of any. There's the bike show this weekend where Princess Margaret, we're going to be there. So there's going to be some cycling clubs there, lots of great bike shops within the GTA, so you can talk to them as well. There's a couple more questions. Any tips on how to do your hair so that it is comfortable under a helmet, but also mostly off your neck? Great question.
Great question. French braid for life. I think that's really the best thing that I've found, is because it really keeps it flat without like one specific bump to it. A lot of women will do like a bun through the back of their helmet. So if you're doing French braid, you want it to be really flat down the back. If you are going to put your hair in a ponytail or a bun, actually put on your helmet and see where the hole is, because I think the discomfort tends to come when you're putting the ponytail up here and the helmet hole is down here, so you're like shoving it down. But yeah, French braid is really the best thing I've found. Also the best for like the post helmet hair situation. You get like a nice wave.
What about waxing or shaving in the saddle?
Oh my gosh, you just asked my favorite question. Okay, I didn't include that slide. I normally include that slide and I didn't, and now I'm really sad. Okay, personal preference number one. Hair, no hair, totally your call. There's kind of like pros and cons to both. Number one thing would be keep it clean is really just like our number one point of fact. If you are waxing, do it at least a week before any long ride if you're not used to it, especially if you have sensitive skin. This is not something I would do on Thursday when the big ride is on Saturday. I would do that maybe the Sunday before. Shaving, same thing. I actually would, be very careful about shaving that area the day or two before the bike ride, because you're going to get those little micro tears. If you do get any razor burn, it's going to be real uncomfortable. I'm actually a huge fan of waxing or laser if you're feeling real kicky. The best decision I ever made, and yes, I'm just putting this right out on the internet here. 10 out of 10 recommend. Very expensive, very painful, totally worth it.
Do you have any saddle cream recommendations?
Chamois cream has been very good to me. They have a couple different formulations, or chamois butter, I'm sorry. So it's chamois butter, BUTT''R. They have a women's version that has a bit more of like botanicals in it that are theoretically antimicrobial, but their regular one works just as well. Keynote about the chamois cream, I highly recommend putting it directly on your nether regions in the parts where you chafe the most. Too many people just slam a big dollop of it into their shorts and then kind of slide around to try to get it into the right places, but often it doesn't really end up going to the right spot. Also, think quarter size. We do not need a huge of chamois butter, sorry. Otherwise, you're just going to be literally doing a slip and slide kind of vibe on your saddle. It's going to be very uncomfortable, which is not the point.
We will have chamois butter. We usually have that specific brand at the wellness tent at the pit stops at Ride, and we'll have that at Northern Pass as well.
So yeah, if you feel like there's a particular spot that's feeling uncomfortable, definitely stop and just put it on that spot. Like often that's enough to at least get you through. Yeah, love it. Great question.
See any other questions? But if you do have any questions that may pop up later on tonight or anytime, please do feel free to email us, and we'll definitely address your question. If you could just go to the next slide, please, Molly. So if you do have more questions, anything to do with what we've talked about tonight, or anything that we haven't covered, any event details, fundraising tips, if you'd like to have an orientation with your team or you need any further resources, please do reach out and email us. There's 3 emails there. You could email Ride Guides. If you have any specific Ride to Conquer Cancer questions, our senior manager, Emily Wayman, would be happy to hear from you. And then Sophia Rossi, she's our lead on Northern Pass. And then next slide, please. And in celebration of International Women's Day, which is coming up this Saturday, March 8th, we have a special promo for all of you. And for any women that you know that are thinking about joining the Ride or Northern Pass, or you want them to join either of the events, please share the promo code SheRides. So that's going to be available for free registration up until March 9th. Next slide, please. And then Karen also has a promo for all of you as well, where she's offering a free first functional fitness class. And if you're interested in joining her class, it's really fun. Feel free to email her and she will send you a link. And now it's time for the draw prize. So I just generated random number.
I feel like we should do a drum roll here.
Yes. So Dawn, you are the lucky winner of one of Molly's books, Saddle Sore, Ride Comfortable, Ride Happy. It goes into further detail and a lot more useful information about Cycling Comfort for Women, and such a great book. It's helped me out so much. There's lots of great tips and information there. So Dawn, if you want to just stay on after everyone logs off, and I can get your email and we'll hook you up.
All right. Woo.
And so
you.
that is it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. As supporters, you have helped make progress against cancer possible. Whether you're a first-time participant or a long-standing one, we thank you. Your support has brought hope to so many. Thank you for carrying the fire, and have a good evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.